All right, looks like we live on Facebook. Testing 1, 2 on Facebook. Let's get to it. All right, to everybody that's watching today, going live, this is Coach DP. Super excited to share some good news with you today. Uh, been working on some things and wanted to get a workshop together for how to build a winning mentality. As most of you already know, I'm a college basketball coach, women's basketball coach. I've been coaching since I was 17 years old. Shout out to my uncle giving me my first coaching opportunity as a student manager at Kentucky State University, HBCU. Super thankful for that opportunity. But sports means a huge part of my life, and I've realized that attitude and effort are super important when you're talking about sports. Whenever you're a coach, an athlete, having the right attitude. I call it having an attitude of gratitude, being thankful and grateful for the opportunities that you have in front of you today, even the issues, right? And that's why we're going to be talking about the mindset today, because it's really all about your perspective. And how do I know this? Because there's been plenty of times in my personal life where I had to change my perspective. But a lot of it's going to boil down to these two skill sets that I'm going to give you today. And I learned from my father how to have work ethic, which is a huge part of being successful as an athlete, as a coach, as a leader in general. I watched my dad get up and go to work every single day for over 30 years. And I don't think he's ever complained. I've never heard my father complain about anything when it comes to work or anything, period. He just doesn't complain. Right. And that's a message to some of us out there today. Complaining actually takes you further away from where you're trying to go. So whenever you start complaining, you're taking yourself out of miracle territory. You're taking yourself out of God's will. You're taking yourself away from the blessings in your life, and you're moving towards the curses in your life. Even the way that you use your language, when you start cursing people out, you're cursing your life, right? Like it's hugely important to remember that the way that we use our language is a weapon. It's a tool. It's a strategy. So we got to be aware of how we're using our words, especially when we're leaders. Okay. So my dad took me to the football field when I was 9 years old, right? And we talked about that work ethic piece. And I said I wanted to play sports. So he took me to the field and, little league football. And I'm like, oh, okay, here we go. Yeah, I'm going to get my first shot, my opportunity to go out here and compete. And I looked out there and it was a coach that I had in Little League Baseball. And I was like, Daddy, that coach is mean to me. And he was like, What? I thought you wanted to play. And I was like, Yeah, but the coach is mean to me though, Daddy. And he was like, Yeah, but you said you wanted to play. You don't play for a coach, you play to invest and get better in yourself. He was like, when you go out there, you're representing the family. You're not representing a coach. You representing all of the things that we taught you. We ran routes at home. We worked on your footwork at home. Now you've been putting the work in. Now it's time to go out here and compete. And I was like, oh, okay. When he broke it down to me like that, I started to realize, right? And that was at an early age. He broke that down to me. And I realized that I had to continue to have that work ethic. I had to continue to put the work in because I wasn't the most skilled player out there. I wasn't the most athletic player. I wasn't the fastest. I wasn't the biggest. But what I realized is if I put a little more work in, okay, let me give you an example. When the rest of the kids would show up to practice, we practiced from 6 p.m. to 8 p.m. or whatever time we had practice back then. But I was outside running routes right after school. I used to run up and down the hill in front of my house before I even went to the football field, before I even put the pads on, right? So by the time I got to the field, I was already used to doing drills. I was already used to getting out and running and pushing myself to the limit. And that's when I realized the work ethic is what took me further when it came to sports, right? So that's a huge thing to understand. When we're talking about building this winning mentality, you got to have a work ethic, right? Outside of your attitude, because you should have an attitude of gratitude. And I'm super grateful for my parents for even putting me in sports because that changed my life. It changed my life, right? Then you got to have consistency. Okay. Consistency is the other skill set. You gotta have work ethic. You definitely got to be willing to put the work in, but just putting the work in or just doing the right things is not going to be enough. It's not going to be enough. I know a lot of people that are really good people and they live a terrible life. Like they treat people right, they do all the right things, but like they just can't seem to get a break in life. Like it just seemed like they just always behind, right? And I realized that it's not just good enough to work hard. There's a difference in working hard and competing. It's not good enough to just work hard. You have to compete. And how do you compete? You got to stay consistent. You have to stay consistent. And I learned this when I was in the seventh grade. And when I talk about the winning mentality, this is literally where I developed this mindset in the seventh grade. This is where I went from the work ethic to the consistency side, right? And in the seventh grade, I went out to try out for the basketball team in middle school. Now, I was out playing at the local playgrounds. That's back when we used to play outside. I was playing outside. I mean, I thought I was nice. I'm playing 21, playing pickup. I'm doing my thing. I'm like, oh, yeah, I'm about to go try out for the middle school team. So I go out there, walk out there, I go try out, and they put all of the names on the gym wall right there, right? Like you look at the gym wall after the tryout, you see if your name is up there. If your name's not up there, you got cut. You got cut. Wasn't no B team. It wasn't like A, B, C. It was like the team, and then the rest of the people they got cut, right? And everybody would come to the gym early in the morning, and you would go hoop. Okay, all my people that's from Louisville, Kentucky, they know what I'm talking about. Okay, so I go look at the gym wall, name's not up there. I'm like, oh, they must be made a mistake. Like I'm out here getting buckets. What are they doing? What are they doing? I went to the coach at that time, Coach Moore. I said, Coach Moore, my name's not on the list. He said, I know. You got cut, man. I said, what? How did I get cut? He said, you don't have any fundamentals. I was like, I don't even know what fundamentals are at that point. I was like, man, I don't know what dude is talking about. So I went home and I was moping around the house, just in a bad mood. And my mom stopped me. She said, Devin, what's wrong with you? And I said, Mommy, I got cut. And she was like, cut from the basketball team? I said, yes. And she said, so, and this is what reshaped my mindset on the spot. One of the best teachings I ever got was from my mother after getting cut in the seventh grade. She said, what are you going to do about it? And I was like, what? Like, I'm thinking like she gonna cuddle me, like let me know like everything's gonna be all right. Don't worry about it, son. And she was like, no, what are you gonna do about it? I was like, you know what? I don't know. I don't know what to do. I was like, I'm in a bad spot. She's like, okay, so this is what I want you to do. I want you to call your uncle and I want you to ask him to start training you. So I reached out to my uncle. He was a college coach at the time. He started training me, taking me to the park, working on coming off down screens, working on footwork with defense, working on handling the ball with the right hand, with the left hand. He taught me how to score with three or less dribbles, how to score with less passes when you're playing 3-on-3, 5-on-5. And we'll just go to the park and just play and learn about fundamentals and implement those things all day long. He helped me get into shape. Like once I realized what these fundamentals were, I was like, ooh, game changer. Now I know where I need to be consistent at. Right. And I just kept staying consistent with those fundamentals and I never got cut again. Never, ever got cut again. Okay. So now I'm starting to realize that work ethic, along with consistency, is what builds what I call the athlete's mindset. So, chapter one in my new book, Coaching the Winner Within, is all about building the athlete's mindset. And that's what my mother did for me in that instance. She helped me to realize that, see, the athlete's mindset doesn't see problems. We don't see problems, we see opportunities. We don't see weaknesses. We see areas for growth, right? Like just think about the wording. If you would stop looking at your situation and saying, I don't have this, like, for example, I don't have time to work out. If you would change your wording and say, where in my schedule do I have 5 to 10 minutes where I could do a short workout? If you did that, guess what? You would actually work out. And now you build a system so you can stay consistent. You can stay consistent. So I want to switch it over to personal development because we can always talk about athletics and sports, but how does this translate to your personal life? Okay, so when I say staying consistent, I'm gonna give you two major areas where if you stay consistent in these two areas, you will watch your life elevate. And what I mean when I say elevate is take your life to the next level. If you're looking for a job, you're going to find the job. If you're looking for a promotion, you're going to find a promotion. If you're looking for more playing time, you're going to find more playing time. If you're looking to become a millionaire, you're going to become a millionaire. I'm telling you, you're going to elevate. How do I know? Because I do these things every single day. Every single day. So let's start off with the first one. The first one that I want to see you consistently stay in is being intentional with your time. Okay. A lot of times when we look around and we look at people that may be doing what we think is better than us, which you should not be comparing yourself to somebody else. But when you look around and you see these other people, they're just using their time in a different way. See, you're using your time sometime on distractions. You're using your time sometime on things that are not going to enhance your lifestyle. You're using your time on things that maybe not going to get you to the next level. See, it's not always about what you know, it's more about who you become. When you become the person that you are looking to become, you will attract the opportunities instead of you trying to chase down opportunities. And this is all personal development. How do I know? Because when I was a video coordinator at the University of Louisville, and I was fresh into my career. First paid coaching job was as a video coordinator. Shout out to Jeff Walls for giving me my first paid opportunity. And I'm working with a Final Four team. This is a amazing team. When I was a graduate assistant with the University of Louisville, right before I got hired, we went to a Final Four. And then we turned around and went to another one. So this is a high level program, right? So while I was there, I was like, I'm looking to get better. And I was hanging out with one of our execs. She was our executive basketball director of operations. And she asked me a question and it really, really intrigued me. She said, DP, how are you getting better? And I was like, I mean, I named off all these things. I'm watching film, I'm breaking down this, and she was like, that's great for basketball, but how are you personally getting better? And I was totally confused. It blew my mind. I'm like, what is she talking about? Like, how am I getting better? Like, I'm trying to level up, I'm trying to win more games. And she was like, no, you need to separate yourself. Look around. And I looked around and I was surrounded by great coaches, all of these high level coaches, 20 years in the game, 30 years in the game, Hall of Fame. Like I'm looking around, I'm like, man. And she was like, yeah, so how are you going to separate yourself? And I was like, I don't know. She said, I'm going to challenge you to work on yourself. And I was like, what does that look like? And she said, the first thing I want you to do is I want you to read this book. I was like, man, I thought you was gonna tell me how to level up. You gonna tell me to read a book? I was like, man, this lady's tripping. Like, what is she talking about? Read a book. And she said, if you read this book, you're going to start to exercise your mind. And I quickly, it reminded me of a scripture. And I'm biblically based, so I'm coming out of the Bible. None of this stuff is from me. I'm coming from what Jesus says, what the Lord says, my Father. Okay, so in Romans chapter 12, verse 2, it reads, do not be conformed to this age, but be transformed by the renewing of your mind, so that you may discern what is good, pleasing, and perfect will of God. It says, do not conform. And another version says, do not conform to this world, right? So that right there lets me know if I'm not renewing my mind every single day, how am I going to elevate above this world? I can't do it, right? So that started to exercise my mind, which forced me to get up earlier. And when I got up earlier, I started to pray and meditate on the word of God. So I want to challenge you. When I say being intentional with your time, I want you to get a morning routine that focuses on you. It focuses on you. It stop focusing on everybody else. Stop focusing on your job, on your family, on your kids. If you're an athlete, stop focusing on what your coach says. Stop focusing on what everybody else is talking about, what your grades are. I want you to focus on you becoming a better person early in the morning. Early in the morning, I want you to pray. I want you to meditate on the word of God, scriptures. Okay. And I'm giving you things that I do that work, that get results. Okay. I want you to exercise. Okay. It could just be a short, brief exercise, push ups, sit ups, body squats, um, burpees, like anything to get your blood flowing, get you in a state of mind where you actually are thinking. This process is to get you thinking. So many times we just go through life reacting, but we're not thinking because that book that person gave me, AJ, that's her name. That's the book that she gave me when she introduced me to personal development. It was called Seven Habits of Highly Effective People by Stephen Covey. And in that book, the number one habit of highly effective people were they're proactive, meaning they don't wait for things to happen to them, they happen to things. And I know that may seem so simple and it's like, oh, but simple doesn't mean easy. It's not easy to consistently get up early and work on yourself. But over time, you're going to see compounded interest. You're going to build what I call personal momentum, which is chapter 7 in my new book, Coaching the Winner Within. You can use the link in my bio or go to devron.com to get my new book. I will sign the copy. If you're watching this live right now, I'll sign your copy and send it to you. Okay. But that's chapter 7. You're building personal momentum in your life. See, as a coach, I know how valuable momentum is. A lot of times, if I'm playing a home game or an away game and we get on a run or we get on a streak, we start to take the momentum. And it's hard for a team to lose if you are capitalizing on your momentum. So you're going to start the day with momentum when you have a personal thinking routine. Oh my God. Look, I did a whole challenge about this. It's called Commanding Your Morning. It was a 10-day challenge, 10 straight days in a row. We went through the challenge, and everybody that did the challenge walked away with their own personal thinking routine. Highly encourage you. But that was the first thing. You got to be intentional with your time. Okay, so now another area that I want you to be intentional, we'll talk about consistency because it's not good enough to just have work ethic. It's not good enough to just work hard, y'all. Work hard, and then you're not getting no results though. You're not getting no results. So I'm trying to give you the secret sauce, right? Secret sauce outside of having a relationship with Christ, because that's what's going to really change your life. Get your walk right. It doesn't mean you're perfect. It does not mean you're perfect. Only reason that you have to walk is so you can start to learn what you need to do. Okay. Now, the second area that I want you to be intentional in is your finances. See, finances is something that we overlook because we think that it's all about making money. It's not about making money. When your finances is out of order and you don't know where the money is going, your life is out of order. And you start chasing opportunities instead of attracting the opportunities. You start looking for how do you pay for it to get something? How do I pay these payments instead of looking for what is the best opportunity for me and my family? So I love the financial aspect because I remember when I first started going to church, right? And I would look around and there would be people like they getting their cars repoed, they stealing money from the church. And I'm not saying everybody, but it was just I didn't see people really happy and having a good time and doing well financially. So I prayed and I asked God, I said, God, can you show me what does it take to be financially well off? And while I'm far from that, at least I'm on track. I'm on the road, right? So when I say be intentional with your finances, the first thing I want you to do is understand exactly how much you have coming in. A lot of times we don't even know. We have no idea how much money we got coming in. We don't know if somebody asks you how much do you make a month, you gonna be scrambling trying to drop in the chat right now. I'm live on Facebook, so you can see the chat. Drop in the chat. Just give me a thumbs up if you know how much you make every single month. If you know exactly down to the dollar how much you make, and this is a good start for you. Knowing exactly how much you make every single month is going to give you the confidence to start on this journey of financial freedom. Okay. Next thing I want you to do after you know exactly how much you want, I mean, you know exactly how much you make, I want you to write down exactly how much you spend every month. It's gonna be real, y'all. This is a real exercise. And it's gonna be some people that's on here right now. It's gonna be like, man, I don't need that, man. That's garbage. Like, you know what? That's usually the people that don't know. See, whenever you're insecure about something, you run away from it. You act like you already know it. How do I know? Because I did it, y'all. I did it. Listen, I said for years I wanted to be financially free. I didn't even have a budget. I didn't even know how much I had coming in and going out until me and my wife, we took a trip. This was about 6 years ago. We took a trip and we realized that we wanted to get a home. So we go buy this home in North Carolina, and the bank comes back, the loan company comes back and says, "Hey, you guys are not approved for this loan." I'm like, "What?" Like we had cash in the bank, we had a down payment ready to go. I'm like, "How are we not approved for the loan?" And they came back and they said, "Well, your debt to income ratio is too high." And I was like, what? Debt to income ratio? I was like, I don't even know what that is. I'm like, what is debt to income ratio? What is that? And so they was like, well, basically, we don't trust you to pay us back. And I was like, wow. But I got money. Like I did all the stuff that everybody said I should do. I worked hard, y'all. I had work ethic. I had 3 degrees. You know what I'm saying? I had 3 degrees. I read the books. I went met with the professors. I went and got a job. I was a college basketball coach at one point, and now I'm owning my own business. I'm a teacher. I'm thinking, how we not gonna get approved for a home? And in that moment, quickly, I had to use my athlete's mindset, and I had to say, okay, so what do we need to do? They was like, well, you need to pay off some of this debt that you got. And that's when we had to sit down and we had to calculate exactly how much debt we had. Then we had to say, this is how much we have coming in. Then the next step number 3, we had to get on a written budget. Now you can use an app if you want to, you can use a spreadsheet, use whatever you want to use, but use something. And these are the fundamentals, y'all. Don't be like me getting cut in the 7th grade because you ain't got no fundamentals. These are the fundamentals to personal development, right? We had to get on a budget. Once we got on this budget, then we had a plan, then we had financial goals, and then we started reading about finance. We started to educate ourselves. We started to figure out what do we need to do in order to get out of this position that we're in. Sometimes we will pray for God to deliver us, and I believe that God has given us the power and the ability to produce wealth. He has given us the ability and the power. He's not going to change the situation. The situation came to change you, so then you could change the situation. I'm going to say that again in case you might have missed it. Sometimes the Lord is not going to change your situation. He might have brought a situation to change you so you could change the situation. And now you could have a testimony. And now we are 100% debt free. We don't owe anybody anything, from over $280,000 worth of debt to now $0 worth of debt. No car notes, no phone installment plans, no credit cards, no personal loans, no, none of that. And why, how can I say that with so much passion? It's because I went through it. I went through it. And this is why I'm so passionate about being intentional with your finances, because you don't know how much of a burden you are carrying around just by being financially in bondage. Because the Bible says you are the borrower is slave to the lender. You walking around with chains on your feet, and you strap down to MasterCard, Visa, American Express. You strap down to all of this stuff, and some of y'all don't even know that you have debt. You don't even know what is following you around. You don't even know how to work your bank account. You don't even know how much interest you're getting on whatever you have. We got to get better at this. We got to start taking control of our life. Okay. We got to start taking control, because like I said before, and I'm wrapping this up, y'all, it's not good enough just to work hard. I know a lot of people that work hard and they broke. Not only are they broke, they in bad moods all the time. They in bad, they don't even know how to give a compliment. All they know how to do is complain. But when I ask them, hey, are you working on yourself? They say, I'm too busy. Wow. Wow. You're too busy to work on yourself, but you're not too busy to go clock in for somebody else and work for them. Think about how that sounds. See, Jim Rohn, who was an amazing personal development teacher and a motivational speaker, he said that you should be working harder on yourself than you do on your job. Now, I think that you should be working hard on your job too, because I work hard. While I'm at work, I'm at work. But best believe before I get there, I have worked on myself. I have worked on myself. I have defended my home court advantage. I defended my mindset. So if you just use this teacher right here, you're gonna have a morning routine, you're gonna have a financial plan, and you're gonna be able to put your work ethic along with consistency, and you're gonna be able to work through it. And if you felt like this was too much and I went too fast and you trying to get everything together, you like, man, this teaching is great. Go share it with somebody else. Share it with somebody else, even if you don't think it's for you. Share it with somebody else and let them learn, let them grow, let them develop. And if you really feeling good, order my new book, Coaching the Winner Within. These leadership concepts, these fundamentals that I'm talking about, they're all in the book. And I have a digital workbook that you can work through, and you can write down the things that you need, and you can actually use it as a teaching. And like I was saying, when I'm saying work on yourself, I give you the game plan for you to work on. You ain't even got to figure out what you need to work on. Okay. So I'm super thankful for anybody that hopped on today. I wanted to share that live teaching with you because I want to see you prosper. I want to see you doing well. And that's God's plan for your life. But you got to remember, y'all, nothing changes until you change. I'm going to say that again because you might have missed it. Nothing changes until you change. So make the change today. And as always, trust the grind. Let's get it.